right, well, hello everyone, and my name is Ali. And in the last part of this course, what we are, not this course, like this section of this course, we're going to make a basic game to show our understanding of Python and how it works and how programming is working, okay? And so the idea here is that we're going to play the guessing game. And if you don't know what it is, it's like someone chooses a number between 1 and 100, and the other person guesses a number, and I have to say higher and lower until they guess the number, okay? And that's basically what we're trying to code here. If you want, you can pause the video, go try it out on your own, and see how you do, and then come back and watch the rest of the video so we can, dive into it together and see how it is done. So, what we're gonna do is, first of all, let me clean this up. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna write some pseudocode first. Pseudocode is not code, but it's text that is supposed to represent code and what the operations are going to be, so we understand what's happening here, and then we're going to fill out the blanks with code, okay? So the first thing is we're going to have some initial values. I'm going to just initialize the variables first. The first thing that we have is going to be my number. Sorry, we're playing with a computer, so it's going to be, there's going to be a chosen number, which we're going to set to, like, let's say 16, for example. And then what we're going to have is going to have a guessed number. Which is going to be equal to 0, let's say. And then what we're going to have is we're going to have an attempt, which we're going to have attempts remaining, let's say. Remaining, which is going to be equal to, let's say you have 7 guesses to guess the number. Okay? Now what we're going to do is, while the user has not guessed the number. So this is a while loop here, right? And then inside of the while loop, if the user hasn't guessed the number, what we're going to do is we're going to be like, ask user to give us an input on the number they guess is correct. Okay? So, like, I don't know, like, hey Ali, what are you thinking? What's on your mind? Well, what number do you think is correct? And then after we collect that, we're gonna check if should we do this? Should we check for, okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to say while the user has attempts remaining, right? And then check if the user guessed lower or higher and guide them. And if the user won, let's put another comment. If the user won, we want to break out of the loop and tell him congratulations. Congrats. Okay? And so, now that we have an idea of what we want our code to do, let's start and code it, okay? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to not record the guessed number, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a Boolean variable called is did user win, which is going to be equal to false right now, right? Because you basically have lost the game until you have won it. And so we want to make a while loop. So we want to say while. And what we want to do is as long as we have attempts, so attempts is not 0, we want this loop to run. So while attempts remaining is greater than 0. If you have 0 attempts remaining, you still want it to run one more time, but afterwards, no, actually, if you have your last attempt and you've done it, then you're done. So we can't really do anything about it. And so while attempt is greater than 0, we want this to run, right? But the problem here is that if I don't change attempts, this loop is going to run forever. So in the while loop, what I'm going to do is I'm going to always reduce 1 by attempt after each round. So I'm going to put a comment, be like, reduce attempts remaining by 1, which I'm going to do by writing attempts remaining is going to be less than equal to 1, which it just subtracts 1 from it. Okay, and now when the while loop ends, what we want to do is we want to check and see if did user when is true. We're going to print u1, yay, right? But if else, if this is not the case, we want to print, oh no, you lost. Okay, pretty straightforward, right? Now, so we're going to write check for user, or let's say check if user won and return the right response. Okay? And so now, what you're seeing here is that the while loop is going to run, and then if the attempts are done, it's going to check to see if the user is going to win or not, and then, you know, show the related response for this. Okay, and if I run this on its own right now, I mean, yes, I have no code here, but if I run it, it's still going to run, but it's going to just go through all the attempts, and then because nothing happens, it's going to be like, oh no, you lost, you know? Okay, perfect. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce you guys to a new command, which helps us collect user input. Okay, and the command name is called input. So I'm going to name it, I'm going to make a variable called user guess. And what I'm going to do is I am going to set it equal to, and I'm going to put this thing called input. The function is called input, and then if I put brackets here, I can write and collect text. I can be like, what is your guess? And then I'll put 2 dots and a space. Oh, okay. And now if I run this, what you will see is that you will see that here in the section, it's asking me, what is your guess? I'm going to say 10. What is your guess? 11. What is your guess? 15. What is your guess? 67. What is your guess? 85. And I can do this for 7 times until I lose, but right? Because the code doesn't do anything with this right now. It just collects it. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to process this. Right? So we have 3 conditions. If the user guessed correctly, if the number is bigger than what we've guessed, and if the number is smaller than what we've guessed. Right? And so the first condition is going to be if we're going to say user guess is greater than chosen number. If it's greater, I'm going to print my number is smaller, right? But if this is not the case, if user guess is smaller than chosen number, I wanted to say print my number is number is bigger. Okay? But what if we want to check, so if the number that the user has guessed is not greater than my chosen number and it's not smaller than the chosen number, it has to be the number that I have chosen. So if I put an else statement here, I can easily just be like, else, if this doesn't happen, what I want to do is I want to stop this process. So first of all, that I'm going to do is I'm going to break out of the loop. A break statement is going to stop the code wherever I want it to. So it's just going to end it. And now if I print this, you see that it says, what is your number? I'm going to say 54. And it's going to give me an error. Oh, okay. Why is that? Let's go down and see. Yes, okay, so the reason this is happening is because when we ask for input from the user, the value that is returned always is a string. And we want this value to not be a string. We want it to be an integer because we're comparing it to other integers. And so what I can do is I can always write the integer function here. And what it's going to do is whatever is collected in the guess, it's going to convert to a number, and then it's going to process that number for me afterwards. So now if I run it again, and let's bring this up so you guys can see. I'm going to say, what is your number, Ali? I'm going to say 54. It's going to be like, hey, the number is smaller. The number that I have is smaller. So I'm going to say, okay, what about 20? It's going to say number is smaller. What about 5? The number is bigger, right? And then if I guess 16 right now, it's going to say, oh, no, you lost. But I actually won. Then what's happening here? Oh, yeah, I know what's happening. If I go up here, you see that I have this variable called didUserWin that I have not changed. So even if I finish my loop, right? Let me just delete this comment because we've decoded it already. If I break out of the loop and I didUserWin hasn't changed yet, what's going to happen is it's still going to say, oh no, you lost. So what I have to do is I have to change the value here. So change value of didUserWin. And so I'm going to put didUserWin, and I'm going to set it to true, and then I'm going to break out, right? As I said, breaking out is just a simple way to say, okay, whatever you were doing, I just want to stop the process right now and then just continue the rest of the code. And now if I run this, you see that if I say 16 is the correct answer, it says, yay, you won. Perfect, okay. So this code was pretty easy and pretty straightforward. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions about it. I'm happy to help you guys. Or if you don't know what's happening, just watch the video again so you can code it block by block with me. There's only one problem left. And the issue right now is that what if I want my number to be chosen randomly, right? And for this, what Python does is Python introduces things like libraries. Libraries are pieces of code that other people have coded for us, and we can just now go and use these codes in our games or in our systems and software and whatever we're writing. And so something we have to look at is the random library. And right now we're going to import random, right? And so what it does is it goes into Python's system and it's going to pull out the box that's called random, and it's going to use the tools now, and we're going to use it right now to generate a random number. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say chosen number is equal to random dot, and then I'm going to use randint, right? And randint stands for random integer. So it's going to give me a random integer, but what I wanted to do is I wanted to give it the range. I want to see what I want the range to be in my game. And I want it to be between 0 and 99, right? Because they're all under 100 values. And now what I could do is if I, actually, let me show this to you in the terminal. I have the terminal open still here. If I import random, and I say random.randint, it's not going to do anything because I have to give it a range. So I'm going to say I want to do from 0 to 99. Is that a comma? Yes. Okay. Now, if I run it, you see it gives me 88. But if I run this again, it gives me 7. If I do it again, 86. If I do it again, 33. If I do it again, it gives me 23. If I do it again, 3, right? So it's all random. And now I can just use this in my code. And if I put it here, now every time the computer wants to play the game with me, it's going to choose a random number. Now let me run the code and let me play with the computer. Okay, so it says, what is your guess? Let's start with like the middle point. Let's say 50. And it says my number is bigger, so I have to guess higher. Let's do 75. Number is still bigger. Okay, let's do 85. Number is smaller. So we know that number is between 85 and 75 right now. And we have 4 more guesses. Let's do 80. Let's see what happens. Oh, the number was 80, so I won. Hooray, right? Pretty easy, right? Now let me rerun this again, and then let's waste let's not do it strategically and see that if I'm going to lose or not. So, all right, we're testing our code right now to make sure it works properly. So let's do, hey, what is 50? The number is bigger. Okay, what about 51? Number is bigger. What about 52? Number is bigger. What about 53? It's still bigger. 54? 55? What about 56? Okay, so see, I used all my 7 attempts, and now it's like, oh no, you lost. So, too bad for me, I guess, right? And congratulations, right? You've written your first, most basic code someone can ever write, right? And it's a perfect software, it works properly. If you've added comments to it, you've put an indentation, you have if statements, you have loops, you have everything here. And we also learned 2 new functions there. We learned the random.randint function that will help you generate a random number between the range you want it to generate. And you also have the input function here that can help you collect input from the terminal. Okay? This is all for today. I hope you enjoyed. This section is also over. The next part we're going to look into more advanced data structures. We're going to look at lists. We're going to look at tuples. We're going to look at dictionaries, and those are more advanced ways of working with data that will help us to be able to do more complex stuff and do more cooler shit. Okay, that is all. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any comments in the comment section. I'll be happy to answer you guys, and I hope you enjoyed this. That's all, and have a good day. Take care, guys.